Are we even starting? Are we supposed to be starting right now?
No, it's just that little light's blinking next to the recording button to make you think that we're recording and we're actually doing anything.
This thing right here?
Yes.
Are we on?
I think we're on.
I think we're on. Hello, welcome to We'll Figure It Out.
I got slapped.
This is my intro now. I've taken over.
You've taken over?
He's still... Hang on.
I'll take over again. My name is Derek.
I'm Travis.
Hello and welcome to We'll Figure It Out.
I've already done that part.
Hello and welcome
No,
to We'll Figure It
we
Out.
don't all
You
need
do
to
it.
say
Just
it.
you do it.
This is We'll Figure It Out, and the intro, we will figure it out. Eventually.
Exactly.
Indeed.
That's how it works. Again, I am Derek.
I'm Travis.
I'm Blake.
And I'm Mike.
We got Mike joining us now.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast.
Applause for Mike. No one else? Okay, that's fine. Just me. Golf clap. Don't peek the mics. Okay, we're all good.
I think it peaked a
A
little.
little bit louder now.
Thank you, Bobby.
A little bit softer now. Now we're good. Okay. Today, we brought Mike with us because he's a cool guy, mostly.
We
He's
didn't
cool.
bring
We
him. He
love
just kind
Mike.
of showed up.
But
I'm all
that's
the
true.
same.
But also because the first thing we wanted to talk about today was recently all of us for the first time got to try out our first ever Dungeons and Dragons campaign. We just started pretty recently. We got into like sort of the meat of it the other night, and so we wanted to talk about how that was for us doing it for the first time. And so what we ended up doing was we had Mike decided that he would be the DM for us, and he took the opening, campaign that they have for beginners and kind of tweaked it a little bit. So if you want to talk a little bit first about how that was for you.
Basically the whole thing we got into with Dungeons and Dragons when we went out to the free comic book day, and everyone's buying board games and looking at some of the books. I just happened to walk around and I found the Dungeons and Dragons starter kit, which I think ultimately is why I ended up being the DM, because I had the rule books. So
Exactly.
I got voluntold to be the DM. So
Voluntold.
voluntold.
That's great.
You've been told to do it without your volunteering. So
Voluntold.
voluntold.
Involuntold.
TM.
But no, it was pretty good. I got a chance to read through it several weeks. It was probably like a month and a half
Yeah, I
before we
think
actually got into it.
Probably.
It was real interesting. I went online to Wizards of the Coast and actually watched some of their playthroughs. I got a chance to actually take a look at their test video of this particular starter kit. It's Edition 5. It's The Lost Mine of Phandalin, I believe.
I think that's probably how you pronounce it. I
it
would
was
say.
called.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. I'm terrible with fantasy names. So.
But that's close enough.
It's
But
Phandalin.
It's close. And then I also wanted to add a little bit of extra like personalization to it. So I put my own mix on some characters. I added a new race. Added some new characters. Made my own NPC, and then we got the group together to play, and to make it interesting, because normally the way this game would start out was you automatically just get your group and you're already right in the middle of a mission. You're kind of on the road on your way to Phandalin. But I thought no, that doesn't seem good enough, so I made this fake tavern up, and I brought a bunch of people together thinking that, hey, this would be like a 5-minute little thing that we could do. Everyone gets a chance to introduce their characters and just enjoy themselves. Next thing I know, it's like, midnight, and we had blown like 7 hours just hanging out inside this tavern. But
Seems legit.
it's interesting. Yeah, it was legit. It was funny, some of the things that took place. We did mix up the rules a little bit because we're all new to this, and this is my very first time doing anything in Dungeons and Dragons, so I got to be the dungeon master. So I mixed it up a little bit. We did change the rules to make things a little bit easier, and as each new session comes, we begin to implement more of the rules until we become, efficient with the rules the way the Dungeons and Dragons community wants it. So if we ever do a game on camera and you happen to be a Dungeons and Dragons player and you notice and you're like, wait a minute, that's not how that's supposed to be. That's
Everything's
the reason
wrong!
why. Everything. Flip the table.
For now, everything's
But-
wrong. It's true because
Flip over the game
yeah,
board.
exactly. I kind of like. Obviously, I do like the way we do it because every single person at the entire table, none of us had actually. I don't think any of us had played any sort of tabletop RPGs at all, as far as I am aware. And not a single
No,
person at
That's
the table
nice
had ever
because you
done
have
it.
a lot of games.
Yeah, exactly. Now I've played a ton of games, and I've always wanted to try to get into an RPG like this, but I never. And I've seen a lot of it done. Like I've been at a session once where someone else was playing, and I watched for a bit, and I've seen a lot of stuff online. So I think like my brother and I were the ones who knew the rules of Dungeons and Dragons sort of
That's surprising
pretty
because I
clearly.
thought you guys had played before.
No, we never played
Like
before.
with how quickly you, Sean, and Mike, you guys all helped me and Trey especially get our characters made and quick.
Yeah, so that was mostly
But,
Sean helping you out.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that.
Because he read through the entire character book to learn everything, and I read through most of it. But he read through the whole thing just so he understood how to do it. So he's the one who knows how to set everything up pretty well.
Yeah, you
And he's
guys
watched
actually
again. He's
read
watched
the
even
character
yeah.
books.
He's watched even more than me
You
of
just
like
browse through
the
when needed.
things
Yeah.
online of people playing things. So it's
Good job.
there's a lot of crazy rules in Dungeons and Dragons that's like insane stuff.
It's still not as bad. Like I'm a seasoned Warhammer 40,000
Oh,
player.
well, that's worse.
That's much
Oh my
much
goodness.
worse when it comes to the rules.
That's awful.
Now, what is Warhammer like? I've never played that.
It's crazy.
Other than the
Go
fact
ahead.
it's crazy expensive because you have to build your army.
Oh.
It's basically like there's like models, and it's like it's very precise the way that
Yeah.
they do the
You
combat
have-
because it's all exactly to scale. So like if you have like a ship that's like this big, that's like it's pretty big, but there's like some figures that are like gigantic,
you
but they're
have
all to scale
Titans,
with each
you
other.
have tanks. You have.
and
It's also
s-
based on what type of weapons that you happen to put on your figure as well. Like some guys will actually have. Like I was the Space Marines. Is what I.
Yeah.
A lot of beginners like Space Marines, but they're also very versatile. So yeah, if I put like a flamethrower in one guy's piece, everyone you played with would look at your army. You can't say, well, this guy's going to shoot you with a rifle. He doesn't have one glued onto him, so you have to follow certain rules and things. Some of the guys we actually played with, we even dealt with windage, which I was like, oh my god, we don't need to get that far
It's
into the
crazy.
game. But yeah, they would do it because
Windage.
they'd have like artillery shells and stuff. Well, the wind's
Yeah.
blowing at this angle, at this speed, so the shell's going to drift.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and it's all just on a table, and like everything. If you're doing it the way that it's meant to be played, you have to very carefully measure out everything so that, like to the millimeter, you can say whether or not they're in range of the other ones.
Yeah.
So that you know. So that's like pretty intense.
You see, I feel like that'd be more of a like hardcore strategy player's game, like people who absolutely love to take their time with the minute details of games like that. I honestly I've never gotten into Warhammer for that specific reason. I liked D&D, especially the other night when we played. The reason I liked it being we rolled the dice, we said what we wanted to do, and then the game master said, okay, well, let me roll. He would roll to see if our things were effective, if the enemy's things were effective, etc., etc. And it was all basically just up to him as to what exactly would happen based on the dice. It wasn't so specific like, okay, well, you got shot, 3 inches through your arm right here because this arrow fired over there had a windage of like this and a velocity like this, and it had piercing damage like this, so it went through your
because
arm.
again, I've seen
But a squirrel breathed here.
yeah,
so.
exactly.
A skull broke a stick over here in the
Somewhere in a
woods.
faraway land,
Yeah,
a butterfly
because
flies.
there's like extremes on either end that I've seen for different campaigns where some are like completely freeform crazy, like there's like, oh, you don't even really roll or do anything, it's just kind of as just like almost like just a session where everyone sits down and things happen. And
Yeah.
then there's the other extreme where it's all exactly planned out, but both either of those can be good if you have someone running it who knows what they're doing. Like I've seen versions of it where it's like that exact, but like the game master already knows that and they've explained it and they have everything perfectly laid out so that everyone understands exactly how many feet away everything is and all these crazy stuff, which they've taken years and years to learn how to do. And so like that's interesting to me that like we're like, yeah, if we keep going, maybe eventually we'll get to a point where it's more exact. But for now, obviously, as we're all learning, it's really interesting the way that we're doing it.
It is, and I kind of like the way that we're doing it because
Yeah.
it allows for a little bit of unknown chaos.
Exactly.
A little bit.
A lot of
Okay, so quite a bit of
Yeah.
unknown chaos.
And I missed a good portion of the game, but
Yeah, you did miss because you had to go home early, but
When Zach kept rolling low dice rolls, that was the duration of the night. So you didn't miss a whole lot there. What you missed
well, it
out
wasn't
on.
just Zach though. I mean,
Yeah,
at one
that's
point,
true.
Sean, Derek's
dear.
brother, had rolled a very poor roll, attempting to pull out a short sword and go after a goblin. And because the roll
Oh, I
was so
forgot about
bad, he ended up slicing his belt and dropping his pants mid-combat. So, I mean, it's just little caveats and stuff like that that just happens to make you be like, really, did I just do that?
Yeah.
You know, you just have to, I have to troll people. That's my job.
It's
to
great.
I can
Yeah.
just imagine a video game being made where all these actually like animated, like all these bad things happening, like your pants just drop in the middle of the game.
Dungeons and Dragons Go.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
I
God.
don't even know what that is.
No, but
No,
okay,
get hit by a car.
We'll get into that.
the
at a different
internet
time.
may kill me for this, but Dungeons and Dragons really does remind me of World of Warcraft.
Like I said, it's interesting because
RPG,
I mean, yeah, it's like
the fantasy and all that.
yeah, because it's kind of like the video game RPGs kind of evolved from this kind of stuff, and Dungeons and Dragons is one of the early, most popular ones.
Right.
I've never played it.
And so if you're playing World of Warcraft or anything like that, it's all like they decided to take this fantasy RPG and say, what if we put it into a video game and said, hey, we have all your leveling and stuff and all your combat done for you. And so you can run around. Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that. And so this is the tabletop version of that, where you can get people in a room and like, imagine all these things happening, and that's really interesting to me. That's because I also love playing.
It's nice being in person with that too, because it also gives you that realm of creativity that you don't get from, say, a video game.
Yeah,
because everything that you do is already decided inside the video game. Like, if you do this is the outcome. It's not going to have a variable if you do exactly this. The game changes based on the players in it with D&D and the game master, because the game master can say, okay, well, we rolled a 7 doing this, and I rolled, like, say, a 12 doing this. This happened. The next day, if that exact same scenario happens, he could change the effect.
Yeah, it's interesting that is kind of how the thing works. I think that, again, it's better the way it is now for us, because we all enjoy just kind of being together and doing this experience. So it's kind of fun to just be like, well, we're not exactly sure most of the actual rules, but we know enough of them that we can say, all right, this is about how this would work.
I will say this: I never picture myself actually playing Dungeons and Dragons.
No, never.
But it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, I think
it's a lot different than people look at it from outside view.
It was that game that was made fun of ruthlessly in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, and I swore I would never play because I didn't think it was cool. Now I'm playing it, and
cool.
I'm a hypocrite because it's actually one of the more fun things I've done, more so than most video games, strictly for the fact that you're in a room together and there's that realm of creativity that video games don't give you.
Well, it's another reason why I like it. Is like I said, there is that little bit of element of chaos involved with it. Just because you could be in the middle of trying to make a plan for something, and then someone will just be like, I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and just go right off and do it.
Leroy!
Yeah, they pull Leroy Jenkins, but the difference is that the video game, you could blame it on they don't have a mic that's working, so they're going to do their own thing. They're just not paying attention. Maybe there's latency, maybe there's something like that. But here at the table, you can't blame it on lag or anything like that. You're just like, dude, what are you doing?
I don't know, you're so far away from me right now, it takes a while for me to
lag.
I know
what you're doing.
We're talking, but you're actually getting like the old Japanese like Godzilla dub coming to you. So my mouth moved like 50 times, and all you heard was the word "I." So but it's funny, especially from my point of view as a DM, because I'm sitting here and everyone thinks I have this whole thing like planned out. No. Like, we're sitting there, I have that little screen, so no one can actually see behind me. I have a list of paper, like, achievements that I use to help hand out just random XP. Because I thought it'd be funny to go ahead and do something like that and take the seriousness off the game. But while everyone's discussing what they're doing, I'm catching, like, a Pokemon on the table that no one has any idea. I'm just sitting back there doing this, listening the whole time what they're saying, but I'm like, okay, whatever. For me, it's fun because even though I have a base idea of how the story I would like it to go, everyone else is writing the story. Everyone else is doing their own thing. Like, at one point during the game, everyone is on this cart, this big cart, and they're trying to deliver it. The whole point of if you haven't played this game, I'm not going to give too many details, especially the starter kit, but the gist of it is you've been paid to make sure that a cart full of supplies is just delivered to the city of Phandalin. That's it. And then along the way, that happens to see a couple horses laying dead in the road, blocking your path with arrows in it. Well, I spell this out to everyone, and everyone decides, okay, let's start talking about what we're going to do. Ricky and Travis were the only two in the beginning that decided we want to go investigate the dead horses. Well, everyone else has it in their head. Let's crack open the crates and see what's inside of it. You guys
not everybody.
Almost everybody.
Almost everybody.
But you would never get a job.
And they all failed.
Everyone's just trying to do this. In the middle of them doing it, there's like enemies and things coming around. And I'm sitting there thinking, what are you doing? Like, we're working our way around the table, and everyone's like, well, let me roll for perception and see if I can find any enemies. Oh, there's some things in the bushes. Maybe this isn't good. Then the next person would be like, I think I'm going to use a crowbar and crack open the crate. And I'm just like, what are you doing? There's nothing of importance in this box.
Great.
In fairness, there were Zach, myself, we decided to take a tactical approach. He went towards the bushes and wanted to see what was in them. And then I decided to get up a tree for a vantage point with my bow because I play as a ranger. I have a bow, which is a ranged attack, and I can see from, a vantage point. Zach ends up getting shot because he just walked out in the open. And then everybody else around the table, there were 3 people trying to crack open the crate. Ricky and Travis went up to go investigate the horses, which was, that's good. And then 3 people cracking open a crate. One of them is talking to a squirrel. Another one's up a tree without a bow and arrow.
Yes.
And then I think Matt also tried to break open the crate.
Most of us were over nearby.
And I probably should have listened to Ricky and gone back to get help when we rose problem. But no, I'm like, I'm gonna climb a tree too.
Oh, and
more trees.
When Zach got shot and I was trying to protect him, I got 2 lucky shots on goblins, which was really cool. But that said, I was like, okay, can someone come help me out over here? Because I'm pinned down and he's wounded really badly. And then he flashbangs himself with his spell.
Yeah, he has an illusion spell, which is supposed to be like this big, bright, flashing light. He rolls a 1 on it, and I'm like, okay. So he ends up blinding himself with it.
And yeah,
but the whole time all this is going on, I'm looking at the story, because it is a pre-made story, and I'm trying to convince everyone by making like little hints. Are you sure you want to do that? You want to do this instead or something like that? But I'm looking at it going, we're going to be stuck by these stupid horses for like an hour. And I'm just reading it and I'm like, all right. It's fun, but it's also kind of like,
what are you doing?
it's really interesting watching people make their decisions the way they're going to make the decisions.
Especially because we're all different types of people. That
It's exactly, and I've read from a lot of people like on the internet and things that do this all the time, their frustrations. They're like, no one follows my story, and I'm like, but it's not supposed to be your story, it's theirs. Your entire purpose as the dungeon master is to just lay out the parameters and then let them fill everything in. And it's humorous. I can see why we're really serious players will get like, oh, they didn't do that right, I can't believe you didn't do that, oh, and they start getting like all bent out of shape. This is funny to me. It is, and because you would think on paper you're like, this would take like maybe an hour and a half to get through this one point, because we just had so many people. I think we had it was like 11 people, not including myself.
Yeah.
And during combat rolls, you have to go one at a time around the table. So I was expecting it to be a while on that, but it's interesting. It's funny, and then some of the things that would happen. Because when this is all said and done, it's finally done, and it's time to move on to the next chapter, but everyone's hanging around the cart. I had to think of something to push the story onto the next part, so I have this company of like knights that are coming in, they're shooting arrows at everybody. So everyone is now arguing over whether or not they should hang out by the cart, or just getting like, from the movie 300, just arrows rained on them. Or maybe we should go hide. And then of course, Ricky, our barbarian, decides he wants to go hide under the horse. And then a couple people get left behind. Said, we're going to hang out by the cart. Maybe we can talk to them.
It was funny with that,
let's talk to them while we're getting shot at. You know, I mean, you would think in real life, let me think. Do I want to go hang out by the cart while I'm getting shot at, or do I want to leave?
The part that was funny about that, just to me real quick, was we were all like saying, we need to go. And then there was Ricky who decides, okay, I'm just going to hide under the horse. While we're all talking, he just goes and climbs underneath a dead horse. And he's a barbarian. He's 6'5" or something, and 200-something pounds. And he's hiding under dead horses. And then 2 of them are like, oh, maybe they're friendly. My logic behind that is, if they're shooting at you, they're not friendly.
I still say we should blow up the cart. But
yeah,
there was an option to blow up the cart.
It was interesting.
I was actually expecting that. I was waiting for that. So in my mind, I'm going through this whole scenario of like, all right, how can I portray the cart blowing up and doing all these things like that? And then everyone decides to just scatter. Ricky is still just hanging out underneath the cart, which to his credit, I mean, by underneath the horses, he was rolling incredible rolls.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like getting like 18s and 20s and all, and I'm just like going...
He was lucky.
Did he have a loaded die?
No, he didn't have a... It was actually one of my dice, so I know for a fact it
Did you
was
have
a
loaded die?
No, I don't. But I'm just like, this is unbelievable. And then, so I mean, and then we finally got the story to move on, and we ended up spending... Good God, probably 4 or 5 hours in this cave.
Yeah.
Everyone's like going through doing their stuff. But it was fun. It was interesting. I'm excited for the next part.
Yeah, for
when
sure.
it finally comes up. But no, it's fun. I like watching everyone write the story for me.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Although I will admit, the first time we ever played, I forgot to hand out experience points, so I royally made up for it.
Yeah.
The last game, and I felt like Oprah. You get experience points. You get experience points, and just give them out there.
Yeah, I think the best part of the thing is just that the kind of idea in your head that you're like, in like pretty much anything, I could just say I'm gonna do that, and then you can do it, even if it seems like it's a strange idea, or if you think it might not work. It's like you said, it's not like in a video game where it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna walk over here and do this. It's like usually they won't let you. They'll be like, okay, here's the wall. You can't get past this part of the level, or you can't, But this one, it's like, no, you can go to any part of. You can pretty much do whatever you'd like, and because it's just a game that exists, there, kind of in the imagination, you can kind of do anything.
And one
that's
thing I've
interesting.
learned: never make assumptions about what Ricky's gonna do, because he will always prove it wrong.
No, and he'll even tell you he's going to do one thing and go do something else entirely
great.
different. I'm just like,
So,
It
also,
actually helped a lot, though,
Did-
to his credit.
did Amanda talking to squirrels ever actually achieve anything?
It
she
accomplished
when
one
you were
thing.
gone?
the fact that she was talking to a
Yeah,
squirrel.
when you were gone, there was wolves in the cave, and she talked to some of the wolves, and once their master was dead, they were kind of on our side because she had talked to them. So I think that kind of helped.
And what really helped, though, was when they killed... Actually, I'm not going to try to spoil it or anything. They killed, the dog's handler. We'll say that.
Yeah.
And then the dogs just didn't know what to do, so they didn't attack. So that was good. But
Yeah.
when she tried talking to the dogs, they just incessantly were saying to each other, yes, 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 because somebody was talking to them for the first time ever. So...
Yeah. So it was a really interesting experience, and I'm glad that we went through and did it.
It is interesting watching how people think a lot of that stuff, especially when there was one part in the campaign where we've always talked multiple times, and we joke around it. One of the major rules they talk about in Dungeons and Dragons is never split the party. Well, they split the party, so it made the whole thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was humorous, but I'm the one telling the story. I don't have a character just getting hurt or anything like that, so I'm like, yeah, do what you want. We'll have fun with it.
And the two that got split got
That
flogged.
was crazy. Oh my goodness.
I say eventually we
It's
should
so
have
sad.
someone else be the GM, and then have you actually get in and on the team.
That's what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to get to the point. Like right now, I'm just getting us to this whole starter campaign in a sense. And I hope to leave it off in such a way that someone else could just pick up and go from there.
I vote Sean because he seems to have the next best knowledge of it next to you.
I would agree with that. Or
Sean?
we could take a vote, or I would say we let everyone roll for it, but I think we'd all get one. So
If you're watching this,
I'd
Sean,
be stuck.
whichever camera you're watching currently, I'm watching both of you. We would like you to be the next GM, but we're all going to vote on it.
What do you think, Internet? Who do you want to be the next GM of all the people you do not know in this room?
If
You
everyone
should go
you've
buy a
ever met.
D20 sided dice, roll, and in the comment section, let us know what your roll was. If you got a 20, well, you pretty much get to tell us.
Good for you. You win.
The one downside, though, is that you can't buy D20s anywhere except for online. I would know. I tried for 2
He was
days.
looking around. He was telling me where he was looking around the town. Couldn't find
Did
anything
you
in the
check
town.
Sebastian Hobby Store? Because
I checked every hobby store within like a 50-mile radius.
I don't
Did
know
you-
what
did
Sebastian.
you
There's
know
two
one for
there's
free
two hobby stores
night
in Sebastian.
For comic book day, because there's
Yeah.
a whole bunch I was
Well, it's
bought there
in-
for like 50 cents.
That's in Melbourne though. So
Well,
We
I'm
were
talking
talking
about
about
It's in
Sebastian.
the 50-foot radius. 50 miles.
50-foot radius. There's one right outside. We didn't see it on the way in.
There's D20 just lying on the floor. Ground out there.
Exactly. We found it. Guys, thank you for joining us. Talking about D&D, we were just, this is just our thoughts and our opinions of our first ever session, and it was really interesting. I think we all enjoyed it.
Yes,
and
thank you.
I also want to thank Mike for coming out and joining us today. Everybody give it applause for
Do it again.
Mike.
A little bit softer now.
Oh, we're peaking.
And now we're good. Okay, no. How
He
did
peaked
we
with
do
a
it?
golf clap.
It was so quiet.
But also want to congratulate him on doing a great job as a game master
Yeah, it
for
was great.
D&D. And for the first ever D&D game that any of us ever played,
Yes.
I think it's going quite
It
well.
was really good.
And we will definitely have him back more.
Yeah, thankfully I was actually off today. I could come back here and do it with you.
Yes.
I would like to invite you all in the internet to our next D&D game with us on.
Yeah, we can get the whole thing recorded and
Get
just
the whole
post it
thing
up there.
recorded,
Because there's a lot of
Set up a
shenanigans
tripod
that
or something.
happen.
It'd be great.
a lot of shenanigans. and
The
a lot
only
of
Shenanigans.
downside to that is that I leave in 32 days for a 5-month period.
Well, we'll try to set it up before.
We will
30
Skype
days.
you in.
That didn't
I
work
don't
that
think the
great
drill
last time.
sergeants would appreciate
That's
that.
true.
Maybe
Probably.
they like D&D.
How about we do it this way, right? You guys want to meet again sometime this coming weekend?
Yeah, we can try
We
it.
can record
I'm
next
busy
episode.
next weekend.
We should talk about this off mic since we'll do scheduling later.
I am going to a convention in
Okay.
Tampa, which I will probably talk to you
Bear
guys
with
about later.
us as we figure it out.
We'll no. Okay,
We'll
sign
figure
off.
it
We will
out.
figure it out.
We'll figure it out later.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.